Pre-match to this one, Blades taking on Tottenham, looking for their second win of the season, a second consecutive win, which would equal the number of managers Watford have had this season, both surprisingly low for this stage of the season. The build-up to the game was focused particularly by the BBC on Sheffield United's goal celebration. After celebrating, we made headline news that other clubs have done all season, but if that's what the media want to focus on, then let them focus on that. It just seems a little bit silly, if you ask me, that it got so much focus in these times. Anyway, team news, Ender Stevens was back. Ben Osborne missing out with a niggle, one of the 7 players missing that Chris Wilder revealed before the game. So it was straight swap in that position, otherwise the 10 that started the game against Newcastle got the chance to go again. Started quite slow, and then just 5 minutes in, we conceded a corner. Ramsdale tips it over the bar, and then another header, the 8th header we've conceded this season. Too many goals being conceded from headers yet again. Aurier, the man to put Spurs in front. Spurs always seem to have an outlet during the first half. They always seem to look, when they went forward, like they had a way of attacking. We tried, we passed, we tried to find little bits through, but restricted to really sort of little pop shots, trying to get Burke forward. And then, just as we thought, getting to the half time at 1-0, 5 minutes before the break, Ramsdale rolls it out to Bogle passes it to Norwood, and Norwood, with an absolutely terrible touch, lays it onto the Spurs midfielder, Hoberg, who pops it through to Harry Kane, and Harry Kane finishes nicely just outside the area. Nothing Ramsdale could have done about that. So half-time, it's Sheffield United 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. I'm now going to happily check the Twitter feed to see Florida Blade, aka Steve, is offering to get the dog food out if we win.
No changes for either side coming out in the second half. Surprising, really, if you're the Blades. Down 2-0. Some questionable performances. I think you could have made the case for a more attacking change coming out of halftime. Definitely looked a bit brighter going forward in the second half. Strung some passes together well. Camped out a bit in the Spurs half of the pitch. But really, most of our shots were well blocked by Spurs defenders. We didn't really cause Lloris that much trouble. We did eventually get on the score sheet, though. Endo with a nice ball in, and Didsey rising above the defenders to head into the corner to make a game of it, really. It was 2-1, and anything can happen at 2-1. It's really game on from there. And you got to be happy for Didsey. You know, last year, barely getting on the score sheet, and this year he's our leading scorer by quite a bit. So fair play to him. And the glee and the joy lasted all of 172 seconds. Before we were undone, and it's Ollie Norwood at the center of it again, much like he was for the second, letting the ball run across him as if he's just got all day to make his mind up and see what he's going to do. But the ball runs across him, Spurs nick it, a couple passes they're in, and Ndombele with a fantastic lob. I'm not a goalkeeping expert. I really don't think Ramsdale's at fault for that one. He's at the corner where the ball is, and Ndombele lobs him into the far corner. So a good goal puts it at 3-1 and really puts the game to bed from there on out. Not much to report after that. Blades did bring the changes. The aforementioned Ollie Norwood comes off for Ho Keane Bryan. Burke comes off for Brewster. And then Sharp comes in as Basham makes way. Billy had a nice volley that went well wide, and that was really it. About 5 minutes from time, John picks up a yellow card in the Spurs half of the pitch, which to me is just needless, and puts him out for the Man United game. So, no John Egan at the rock of our defense. We've got players injured, and we're heading into Man United, so fingers crossed. From a perspective standpoint, you don't go into these games as still a newly promoted side, just our second year in the league, expecting to beat a team with Kane and Son and Bergwijn and the likes. But what you hate to see is 3 individual errors making way for 3 Spurs goals. You know, you'd rather see a Spurs team come out, play well, unlock us and beat us, but really we were the architects of our own downfall today. So, a cup match against Plymouth, Man United and Man City on the horizon. Could be a long couple of weeks, Blades fans. But as always, we remain hopeful until there is no more hope to have. Cheers. Up the Blades.
Right then, Blades fans, ratings, yay. Ramsdale, we'll start with the goalkeeper. I didn't really want to pile on too much on Rammers. I'm actually going to give him a 5. Did enough to get rid of a dropping ball on 37 minutes after a defensive clearance which just sort of went straight up in the air from Ampadu. Bit of a flap. But he was being leaned on by Harry Kane. Conceded a second goal. We won't really talk about the first one because we all know that wasn't Ramos' fault. But the second from distance, that shot came early, as it often does from Kane. And Ramos wasn't aided by his defence. When you see it again, you think, is his positioning at fault? I think still being a little harsh there. But I'm not going to be holding back on this one. A real mess on 53 minutes as he came out at Son's feet. Now, you either take everything or stay back, and he ended up doing neither, and he got really lucky. The third, it's one no one would have expected, so I'm actually not going to blame Ramos for that. Bogle, a 6. Question marks over the Spurs opener from a headed Son corner. Fullback versus fullback, and Serge Aurier wanted it more than Bogle. Good effort though from him on 43. He just looks so threatening going forward, but then start the second half, really poor header on goal. So he's up there. That's one thing I like about him, is he still gets forward and he's up there. Ender Stevens, a 6. This is really just for the second half when he was a bit better. He didn't get forward enough first, but he was much more like it in the second. Basham, a 7, just because he was Bash. He won his challenges, got forward well. He's just Mr. Consistent. Replaced on 74 by Billy Sharp in a tale as old as time. But I always feel it quite hard done by for Basham when he gets taken off, because he just doesn't really do anything wrong. Egan, 6.5, steady, nothing fancy, got his foot in where he could, cleared when he could. Needless challenge, whether he got the ball or not, on Harry Kane on 86 minutes, and he misses another game against Manchester United. Ethan Ampadu, 6.5, not as imposing as he was the previous game. Got about the pitch, lost a few challenges, won some others. Couldn't keep up with Kane. He got outfought and he got outpaced, but he actually looked much better in midfield going forward second half. And one thing I really want to pick up on, good to see he's got a decent throw on him as well. Lundstrom, it's between a 6.5 or a 7. I might lean towards a 7. He picked up a yellow for a professional foul on Bergwijn on 49. Knew what he was doing there. A long-range effort on 57, which wasn't too far away. He's having a few of these recently, and I am starting to wonder if he's having these type of shots a bit playing for himself. Still, though, put in a shift, helped him both attacking and defensive halves of the pitch. So, overall, he was the most sort of impressive midfielder. Ollie Norwood's 3, cynical foul which wouldn't have been necessary had he not hit a shot straight at a defender. Poor first touches on a few occasions. He looks like he needs acres of space and times to ping it. Well, you're not going to get that anymore. He's got to speed up. Caught on the ball on 54, nearly led to a Spurs third. Wilder should have replaced him at half-time, really should. At times, Norwood was a liability, like he was for Tottenham's third. Chasing shadows after misreading the ball. Great goal for Spurs, to be fair, but you can't let the ball roll by you like that. As a midfielder, you've got to be looking over your shoulder. Subbed on 67 for Keane Bryan. Fleck, 6.5, looked more positive, was always looking to find a teammate and got forward more as the first half wore on. He kept the forward momentum second half, ran with the ball when he could. He dropped much deeper later on in the game. He looked a bit more, only a bit, more like the Fleck of old, and a great cross for our goal on 59. That's what bumps him up in the ratings. I also like his beard, so that gives him the 0.5. Burke, I want to give him a 7. I still don't think he's a Premier League striker, but he has had our first real chance in the game. In the first half, forcing a save, he won a corner from that. He had a decent half chance on 28, straight at Lloris. He was the outlet and he looked positive in that first half. We lack creativity, and I'd be tempted to try him in midfield. We've been saying we need a formation change for a while. Not as involved in the second half, so he was subbed on 71. Oh, David McGoldrick, again, Mr. Consistent, giving him an 8. On 11, good through ball to Burke, and he had his own great chance on 34, but blocked after a superb first touch. He scored on 59, a beautifully placed header, decent effort on 70. He's one of our best at creating space, if not our best. So that was sort of Spurs' first win in my lifetime at Bramall Lane. The last time they won was there in 1975. I don't know which is worse, that record being broken or Lee Hendry on comms. Lee Hendry is getting a 2. The subs on 67 minutes, Keane Bryan giving him a 6 on for Norwood, went into left centre-back as Ampadu moved into midfield, did everything that was asked of him. I personally think he's best as a left wing-back where he played in pre-season. 71 minutes, we saw the introduction of Rhian Brewster. I'm giving him a 5 and a bit of a partridge shrug. He was on for Burke, and I literally made no notes, so I don't think he did anything. 74 minutes, Billy Sharp on for Basham. Probably give him a 6 because Billy was willing, but didn't have anything to feed on. Had a volley on 83, which was right idea, but way wide. And that's all you're getting from me. I'm not giving Wilder a rating. Just fed up.
Man, I was feeling really good coming into today. Got a brand new fancy headset. We had 2 wins, one in the FA Cup, one against Newcastle. I even went as far as to predict a 3-1 game. Unfortunately, that prediction was right, but it was 3-1 Tottenham instead of us. So on to positives and negatives. For me, there's 3 big negatives that stood out today. 1, defending corners. We conceded another goal, losing our man and not jumping to concede a header. Gave Serge Aurier a free shot at our net. And 2, giving away sloppy balls in the midfield today. Norwood, sorry, you did both of these. Heavy touch in the first half led to Harry Kane's goal where he could just easily slot it into the back of the net. And then in the second half, Norwood just lets the ball roll right by him, not even putting a touch on it. And then that led to Ndombele's wonder goal, chip shot over Ramsdale into the back of the net. So, those 2. And then final negative for me has to be the quality of shots that we're taking. You saw it on the positive side, great cross in from Fleck, great header by Didsey, but that was one out of like 20,000 shots that we had today, and just none of them were good besides that one. You saw the thing I wrote down and circled was shooting at defenders, either because we're taking too much time on the ball inside the box and defenders are able to close us down, or we're just taking wild shots without even paying attention to where the defenders are. It's just not a good look for us. If we're going to win games, if we're going to try to prevent relegation, which is looking harder and harder by the day, you have to be taking quality shots. And today we had a lot of shots. We had a lot of shots that were on target, but any of them that reached the goalie were right at him. Any of them that didn't was because defenders were able to get in the way. So you could say there's a positive from more shots on targets per the stats, but when you go back and when you actually look at them, they weren't high quality. Even Bogle, who has been a really good attacking threat from the right wing back slot, today just didn't have anything there. Burke, I thought, had a lot of really good touches, a lot of pace that we saw in the first half, and then just nothing for the first 15 minutes of the second half. So it's these little key personal player performances, kind of that confidence, that quality with that final ball, that's just been the lacking factor all season, and it reared its ugly head today.
So where do we go from here then, Blades? I don't really have much to say, to be honest, about today. I guess it's just disappointing in the fact that we played so well against Newcastle. I know people have been saying Newcastle were that bad, but I think we were really good as well. We stopped them creating pretty much anything, and when they did, we were very solid defensively apart from one little thing. So it's just really disappointing. I'm not really sure what the situation really should be about signings this window. We don't really have that long left, and I don't really know if there's much point in making any signings, especially permanent ones, because end of the day we're going to be going down a league. I think we all know that, and it probably is about planning for that. So what do we really do in that sort of situation? I've said before, we've got a very ageing squad in a lot of positions. Cover, we're going to have to rely on Jagielka for the next game. It's ridiculous that we even, thought about keeping Egan on when it's a yellow card waiting to happen, I guess, in games like this for him to be suspended. But, having Jagielka as the main person that's going to replace Egan. We just shouldn't be having to deal with that in the Premier League. I'm sorry, but, you know, we just have quite a lot of aging players, and I feel like if we want to go back up into the Premier League and sustain ourselves as a Premier League team, we need to be making sure we make good signings for replacements. We need to make sure we have a much younger squad, and we're not relying on 30 plus players who don't have the legs to compete anymore. And, you know, I think a lot of this team needs a good revamp in the summer. You know, midfield, we're losing Lundstrom and he's our best midfielder at the minute. And I can't see Sander staying, to be honest. So we're going to just need a big revamp everywhere. We need to bring the age of the squad down, and we need players that we know will be able to adapt if and when we get back up to the Premier League again. So yeah, it's disappointing day, Blades. We didn't get the performance we really should have seen after the last time out. But, you know, all we can do is keep on going and try and keep the morale high going into next season, because we don't want it to be a slippery slope. Come on, you Blades.